the British Boxing Board of Control have ordered Moses Itauma to fight David Adeleye. David Adeleye is the English heavyweight title holder. So he has to defend against Moses Itauma. You can see here, this is a screenshot from the British Boxing Board of Control website. It says the stewards decided to put out the above contest to purse bids to be submitted in accordance with the terms and conditions to the board's head office by 12 noon on Wednesday, the 8th of January, 2025. The contest to take place by the end of May, 2025. So less than a month before purse bids for this one. Now, on the face of it, I like the fight. Moses Itauma versus a domestic rival in David Adeleye. However, Itauma is fighting Dempsey McKean on the Usyk Fury undercard. And Dempsey McKean has fought at, I want to say, world level when he took on Filip Hrgović. He lost that fight by stoppage in the 12th round. And Dempsey McKean previously has been ranked in the top 10 of at least one of the major sanctioning bodies. He no longer is, presumably because of inactivity, because he hasn't fought since his loss to Filip Hrgović. So with inactivity, they can drop you out the rankings. In any event, Adeleye is coming off a good win over domestic rival Sol Dakers. It was obviously for the English heavyweight title. I believe Dakers was the holder going into that one. But if you look at the heavyweight rankings here, and this is why I'm kind of skeptical about whether Itauma will actually go ahead with the Adeleye fight. I guess it depends on his options after this McKean fight, if he actually gets past McKean. So you'll see here that Moses Itauma is ranked number 6 by the WBO. Now, you could argue that he shouldn't be ranked that high by the WBO, nor should he be ranked as high as number 10 by the WBA, or even number 14 by the IBF, given his relatively poor opposition so far. I mean, it's not opposition that's any worse than you would expect for a guy who's only 10-0, but nevertheless, is it really opposition that should warrant such high rankings? Anyway, the point I want to make here is that Itauma is ranked in the top 10 by, what is it here, at least 3 of the sanctioning bodies, of the major sanctioning bodies, but David Adeleye isn't ranked in the top 10 of any of them. So if Itauma beats Dempsey McKean, presumably he's going to be looking to try, if it's feasible, to break Mike Tyson's record and become the youngest heavyweight champion in history. He's got until May 2025 to do so. And so it will be a matter of whoever wins the Usyk Fury rematch either being stripped of belts or vacating belts, and then Itauma getting a shot at a vacant title, or Frank Warren deciding to match Moses Itauma against Daniel Dubois. But I don't think the turnaround will be quick enough, because Dubois is fighting Joe Parker in February. He's not going to fight Moses Itauma, 2.5 months after that, is he? So Itauma's only hope really is for belts to get fragmented and for him to get a chance at one of the vacant straps. And I have to imagine that's what he'll be looking to do. And even if he doesn't go that route, he might be looking to fight somebody in the top 10 anyway, even without a vacant belt on the line. And therefore, David Adeleye wouldn't be in the running for that. So, yeah, I'm skeptical about whether that fight will happen next, whether Itauma will want to fight for the English heavyweight title if he beats Dempsey McKean, especially if he blasts McKean out and does a much better job on him than, let's say, Filip Hrgović did. Styles make fights, obviously, but the confidence that Itauma's going to have if he dispatches of McKean quickly, and the confidence that his team are going to have in him, will probably lead to them matching him, as I say, with a top 10, top 15 opponent rather than David Adeleye. And as for Adeleye, the fight I want to see him in, if he can't get Itauma, right, who he's mandated to fight to defend his English title against, if he can't get Itauma, I'd love to see him fight Johnny Fisher. And the good news is Eddie Hearn says that he's well up for that fight. Obviously, Johnny Fisher's got to get past Dave Allen. I think he will. Some of you guys don't think he will, but I personally think he'll get past Dave Allen without too much trouble. Could be wrong, but we'll see. And if he does get past him, yeah, I'd like to see David Adeleye versus Johnny Fisher. Presumably, David Adeleye is not going to vacate his English heavyweight title if Moses Itauma don't fight him for it. Then it could be Johnny Fisher versus Adeleye English heavyweight title. The British heavyweight champion currently is still Fabio Wardley. He hasn't vacated it. Depending on who he fights next, he might choose to. Again, if it's a top 10 guy, if it's a ranking match, some type of eliminator, he might say, you know what? I'll give the British heavyweight title up. Maybe let Adeleye and Fisher fight for it rather than the English. And if that fight did happen, I actually think that Itauma Adeleye is quite an interesting fight, stylistically. Itauma, I think, is the better talent. But Adeleye is strong. He's explosive. He hits hard, as we saw in his last fight with Sol Dakers. So I certainly wouldn't be writing him off in the fight. I think he suffered from a lack of experience in tough fights against Fabio Wardley. I think his spirit was willing, but his body wasn't really used to being under that kind of stress. So I think that played a part in his defeat to Fabio Wardley, because watching that fight back the other day, it was actually more competitive than I remember. Even in the 5th round, I remember Adeleye landed some nice shots and what have you. So, yeah, stylistically, I think Itauma versus Adeleye is an interesting fight. I would favor Itauma, but I wouldn't count Adeleye out.
Are you surrounded by mindless bots in human form who adhere to the norm and blindly conform? Who swallow all the mainstream BS and actually ridicule you for questioning things? Do you wish you had more free-thinking individuals in your life to network and converse with? Well, look no further. We're right here. Come and join the Brotherhood of Reason on Patreon. You'll gain access to my weekly topical content where we take deep dives on an endless variety of subjects, as well as my vast back catalogue of podcasts, videos, interviews, movie decodings, and my Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You'll also get to talk and network with myself and hundreds of other people in our members chat. You can enjoy all this via the Patreon app or on desktop and download all my podcasts in high quality MP3. There's no contract, no commitment. You can cancel at any time, just like Netflix, but it's a hell of a lot cheaper. Just download the app from the Play Store or the App Store, or simply visit patreon.com on a web browser. Then head on over to my page and select the tier called the Brotherhood of Reason. All the links are in the description box below. And just a quick money-saving tip for Apple users. If you purchase your Patreon subscription on the desktop site or on Android, then you'll avoid the ridiculous 30% fee that Apple charges for purchases made on the iOS app. So if you're on iPhone or iPad, save yourself some money by buying your subscription on the actual Patreon website or on Android, because it's a lot cheaper. Once you've made that initial purchase, you can then use the Patreon app on your iPhone or iPad thereafter to access and enjoy your content as normal.